All right, so in this video, we'll be creating a bouncing ball. Yes, we're animating finally, again. So we're going to be creating a bouncing ball, and I want you to create a new scene. Call it, bouncing ball, whatever you want to call it. And let us delete the drawing that comes with it. Now, this is a habit I created from back in the day because the default drawing usually gives some issues for some reason. Control R, let's call it ball. Well, for obvious reasons, plug that in. And we're going to also create another drawing, Control R, call it ground. It's always good to have a reference of where your character is going to be, usually a background. And in this case, it's the ground. So let's use the line tool, click and drag, and we have the ground. Alt S, select that and make it like what, 10 in the tool properties panel, maybe 15. A nice clear impacting area. Actually 20 is good. Sorry. So right now let us click the lock here to lock that layer because we don't want to accidentally draw on it, and select the ball. All right, now if you're learning Harmony, then you probably know about the 12 principles of animation. And if you don't, I would highly recommend you go and research them either through Illusion of Life or through Richard Williams' Animator Survival Kit, two essential books in animation. So, but let me just write them down. So we're going to probably be going through ease in and ease out. All right. We're going to be going through squash and stretch, of course. Stretch and timing. Oh, and spacing. So these are the three. We will cover, a few exaggeration and stuff. But these are the three main principles of animation that are going to be explored in this exercise. So Control A, delete, and let us get started. We don't need to worry about pencil tool, brush tool, vector, bitmap. We don't need to care about that right now. The focus is what are we drawing and how are we drawing it, okay? And I just realized I'm on frame 60, which is sad because we should be on frame 1. So click this and drag this to frame 1. And it will expose up to the beginning. I forgot to mention that. As you can see, the ground is not exposed because I did it on frame 60. And it looks funny, but this is a common problem. Sometimes you don't realize what frame you're on. So let's just click this and expose that a different way. Let's go up here. And a quick shortcut you can use is the right square bracket to go to your next drawing substitution. All right, so let's go to the end and press F5. All right, good. It's the same drawing. Let's lock that down again and select our ball. So this brush is too small, so let's hold O, make it a little bigger, and let us draw where the ball is going to start. So we're going to start the ball somewhere. Oh wow, that's a bit big. We're going to start the ball somewhere at the top, right? Oh yes, draw a ball you're happy with, like that one. That was amazing. And this is where the ball is starting. So it's going to drop to the ground. Now we're going to plan this out a little bit and follow more of the traditional animation process. So let's come here and we can use this new button here, create empty drawing, to create an empty drawing at this point. So let's click that and you can see the line is created, a new substitution is created. Now let's turn on our onion skins. You can press Alt O, not 0, Alt O. And let's just come under here roughly and draw something like that. Right? It doesn't have to be perfect. Just try to maintain the volume of the ball. So if the ball is this big, you can't, like this is the width, and do oops and do that, because that is not the same volume, right? We want it to feel like the same ball, which means the same amount it gets squashed vertically, it should get stretched horizontally. So that would be like this, kind of, right? It looks like the same ball. So just, I mean, you don't have to be perfect, but try to keep that in mind. Yeah. So now we have two positions, and these are called the key frames, so to speak. These are our two key positions, right? They're telling us what's happening. So actually, let's select these and delete them. Right? So we only have two of these here. Nice. Okay, good. So what we want to do is create our breakdown. And that is basically the drawing that tells the viewer how you're getting from point A to point B. So the previous drawing and the next drawing, the breakdown describes how the character gets there. So we're gonna expose this a little, press F5. You want to click this and drag this across a little here. Now go somewhere in the middle, and we're going to create that breakdown drawing. So create empty drawing. The onion skins are on, and you will notice we can't see our next drawing. That's because this is the limit. We're seeing 2 frames ahead. So if you click this, oops, and drag, you can see the drawing start to appear in green. So green will be the following drawings, the next drawings, and red and pink are the previous drawings. So let's draw something like the well, yes, something like that. Now this is going to be, hold S and just drag that across a little there. All right. So this is going to be the drawing before it hits the ground, right? So if we click here and press stop, we can play this, and we can actually, we can actually kind of see animation happening here. We can see the ball is here, is being stretched by gravity. That's why it's stretched like this, right? So it's a soft ball. If you drew yours like this, then it tells the viewer, okay, this ball is really hard, right? Because it's not being pulled by, you can't see the effect on its shape. And that is showing you that this is being stretched out by gravity. And we exaggerate it, of course, because animation is all about pushing, pushing the boundaries and making things look all fun and cartoony, right? So if you play this, you can see it kind of happening. Now, this is where the real fun part comes, or the real tedious part. And if we come here in between two of these, the beginning pose and the stretched pose, we're going to start to create our in-betweens. And that is technically, an in-between is the half point between two drawings, right? So if we want to be all perfect, it's like, okay, let's create a new empty drawing. So this is the previous drawing, this is the next. Halfway here is roughly this. Okay, that's roughly that. And then you can get really mathematic with it, right? But we don't have to be that specific here. Okay. So let's just draw a rough how it might look as it's reaching this shape, right? And you can see, yes, it was a almost perfect circle, and here is a pretty elongated ellipse. And you can see here it's starting to take on that shape. All right. So now we have, you can see it kind of, and you can even see here, this doesn't look quite like the same ball. So let's just, give it, yeah, no, that looks a bit more accurate. So as you can see, I had the volume a bit off, but we can easily use the select tool and adjust it. So, okay, so let's press play. You can see it starting to fall, squash, etc. Nice. So let's continue to do that. Now, as you can see, as I cut in between here and half, like let us create a new empty drawing. You'll see what I mean. Zoom in here. Alt B for the brush tool. Let's half this again, right? So roughly we want something looking like this, shape halfway in between the two of those, right? So let's go with this, right? Nice, right? Now the speed is kind of weird. It's kind of speeding up, slowing down, and we'll fix this in a moment. Now, as you can see here, this drawing is only exposed for one frame, right? And that means it's only going to show up for one frame. So we need to fix that. And a quick way to do that is actually by pressing the plus and minus signs to the right of your keyboard. If you're using a laptop without them, then I guess it's the ones next to backspace, but you'll have to hold shift. So anyway, the plus and minus signs. So we need more room here. So if we press plus, you can see it adds one exposure, right? One frame of exposure. So if we press plus a few times, now this is now exposed longer for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames. And we need more time for this as well. So let's just expose it a little. And let's go in the middle and make yet another in between here. So to create a new drawing, you can press Alt-Shift-R. But as you can see, it's not working if you're in the camera view. So this is one of those shortcuts. You need to be in the timeline. So Alt-Shift-R and you have a blank drawing. So Alt-B, back to the brush tool. And as things get closer, it gets a lot easier to create the in-betweens, right? Because I mean, it gets easier. You can hold E, by the way, to quickly erase. It gets a bit easier to see the halfway point between two drawings, right? So let's go here, Alt-Shift-R. And as drawings get closer, having these many onion skins makes it a bit harder to tell, oh crap, what am I? So you can click this handle and bring it in to reduce the amount of onion skins you can see. So let's zoom in here. Well, we don't really need to zoom in. It's just, don't worry about how nice it looks. Just try to get it in. I mean, I'm showing you this and I'm not worried. So why should you be, right? So let me show you another cool trick, because each drawing here is exposed for a different amount of time. And you want to press plus. Oops. You want to press plus and press here and all this. What you can actually do is select all the drawings, right click, and go to exposure. You can see the shortcuts here: increase exposure, decrease exposure, and I want you to come down to set exposure to 2. And when you click that, you can see everything has now been exposed for 2 frames. And that is beautiful. We don't have to go in and do it manually and do all that stress work, which allows us to kind of be free, expose it for whatever and then come back and set it to 2. So let's bring this in here and press play. Press Shift M to reset the camera. Now if we press play, you can see it start to drop into that squash position, right? Pretty sweet. Done. Right. Some people add a drawing between two of these poses. Let's see what that looks like. Press plus twice and go here and create a new drawing. Right. Some people add an in between. Sometimes I like to put a little dot so I know roughly like how it looks. Right. So some people like to add a weird drawing in between here. Actually, not a fan of how that looks. Right. A lot of people don't. I just want to see how it looks. So let's do that. It is what it is. So you can see here, we're starting to get a feel of the ball dropping and hitting the ground. Now, the effect is softened with that in between, right? It's a little soft. If we were to delete this, press delete on two of these, we can actually use minus. You remember I said plus and minus? We can use minus to bring back these two drawings. Press it. Oops. Wait a minute. Oh, shoot. Doesn't work on empty drawings. That's strange. Okay. Let us undo. So we can actually click this to get rid of it. We can press minus twice. And that's going to remove the exposures. So now we're left with that. And what this does is make the impact feel harder. Basically, it's hitting the ground so hard you don't even see when it changes shape. That's basically what this effect is doing, right? Jumping from one shape to the other. So keep that in mind if you want to make some tough like animation hard impact. If it happens so fast that you can't even see it, right? So let's continue. Now, if you want to, you can keep adding in betweens between these two positions to make it really drag. But I think this is good enough for now. Let's make it bounce back up. So I'm going to increase my stop. And I'm going to speed through this part because we went through the first half. So, you know, just go through yours and I'll meet you after. Yes. Oh, I paused here so you can see something that you might run into. So if you're drawing it going back up and you're like, oh crap, where did it start? Like, you know, like you can't remember where exactly it was and all these things. You can always go to a few steps ahead and go to the first drawing substitution. You can always click here, click and drag and bring it out here as well. It doesn't move it unless it's, you know, the first one. So click the second one and drag it. And in your onion skin, oops, you can do this. And you can see where you're supposed to end up. So keep that in mind. That's a nice little trick if you're doing loops. You really want to find out where you're going to end up. So, all right, back to it. Okay, so I'm not going to get too crazy drawing a whole bunch of in-betweens here. So let's delete that last drawing. And if we come here, I deleted the last one and you'll see why. All right, press Shift M, Shift M, press play. Now you can see you have a bouncing ball. And that was really fast, really loose. It's really good when you're learning something new to just be loose, like enjoy it, get an idea of the basics, what you're supposed to do, and then you can go back in and you know, like do it properly, I guess. So that was our first draft. Let's Oh, this is here for 3 frames. See? Press minus. And let's play it again. So it's bouncing, right? We have a bouncing ball. And you can see it kind of jerks at the top a little bit. And that's really because I have an extra in between at the beginning. So it feels slower when it drops, but it kind of doesn't slow down when it goes back up. So we can always add another in between. So let's take this first drawing here, drag it here so we can see it. Let's go on the empty frame, empty cell, sorry. No, same thing. And draw that in between. Now I've done this for a while, so I can look past the other reds and know the strongest red is the one closest to this frame, and the weakest is the one furthest away. So let's F5 that, delete that, and bring this across. Play that again. Oops, Shift M. And you can see it feels a bit better now because we have the same in-betweens coming out of it than we do going into it, right? So it feels more even, is a better loop. Now, let us build quickly on the knowledge that we went through in the last video and kind of use the color and the overlay layers. So I'm going to do it on frame 1 and then speed through the rest. And hopefully, with the knowledge that we have so far, you understand how to do it yourself, right? Not hopefully, actually. I know you're going to understand. So let's go over to the drawing view. Zoom in here a little. We can turn off the onion skin for this part. And let's go to the color art layer and click this to create our stroke. Let us... I want a new color. Double click that. I'm gonna create a light blue so much. I can't even lay. Let's do that and hold I. Color that. Go over to camera view and it's colored for that frame. All right. Remember, these are drawings, so that substitution has been colored, not the others. All right. So let's go over to the overlay layer and click that because we want to see what we're doing. Make sure you have black selected. And I love to draw eyes. Oh, that was beautiful. Right? And I'm just gonna go through and carry these eyes all the way. So yeah, let's do that. Let's pause. Sorry. The color is making it hard for me to see the eyes. So it's probably better to color it after I'm done the eyes. Let's delete that from the color art layer. I'll go back to the overlay layer. So now we can do it a little better. Only need that. Let's speed through it. Oh, a quick tip. You can use F and G to jump through drawings. So you can see we can jump through drawings without having to scrub. So we can do that. G to go to the next. Oops. That G to go to the next one. Starting to stretch out a little. All right, now let's zoom out. Shift M and press play. I know you have some eyes to go with your ball, you know, so you can do some crazy stuff. You can make it yours. You know, you can add some ears. I made them flop. You can do a lot of cool stuff. I will show you a really quick trick because I love shortcuts and I like helping people do things fast. If we go to the tool properties and we go to the paint unpainted, right? Remember, let's select white. You can click and drag to paint things that have not been painted. so we can paint in the eyes. Let's go to camera view to see this better. You can go to each frame and paint in the eyes. We're on the overlay layer, so it's not going to mess with the line art. See how useful that is? F, G, G to switch. Switch. Oops, we got a circle. And we just painted the eyes. Now, another trick is if you did not want to go through every single frame and paint in the things like that, you can actually switch over to the line art layer. Let's paint the ball. And this option here, apply to all frames. Oops. See, so it says all drawings exposed. So this is not going to apply to drawings that you don't have on the timeline exposed, right? So if we click this, we know our drawing is going to be here. So for example, if I do this, I want all the drawings in this circle to be painted. If we scrub, it has painted all up to that point because our circle was there. But because, let me undo, because we know it drops, we can just make a bigger circle. And Harmony just painted all of those drawings for you. Now that is amazing. All right. They are on the line art layer because we didn't do the thingy. But for this, that is fine. All right. That's fine. Sweet. So you just did Bouncing Ball. Now, I hope that was fun. It was fun for me. It looks like I love it. It's little dude. We'll go through this again, but with the animation tools this time. And that's going to be fun because you're going to really get the difference between the two. All right. So this has been fun. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.